What up, guys? What up? What up? Just getting a few things set up. Just going live. So give me a couple of minutes. Um, just getting a few things in order. Let me check something out real quick. Hmm. Okay, never mind. Thought I saw something look kind of off, but never mind. It's good. Let me just do one more thing, and then we'll get started real quick. You know what? Actually, got to do two things real quick. Damn. Let me see. All right. All right. Cool. Just had to make some quick changes. Oh, damn it. I think it froze up my screen. All right, there it goes. All right, cool. Just had to get something done real quick. Got it done. Let me close out of everything. All right, everything seems good. Cool, cool. What up, what up, what up, y'all? I am Lou. Again, it's Friday. Hopefully, y'all doing well. I'm doing good. I'm enjoying my day. And you know what it is? It's drinking with Lou, man. So I'm gonna be drinking. So y'all let me know what y'all drinking. Drop it in the chat. I'm curious to see what y'all drinking today. So I'm gonna be drinking some tequila. Be tasting a new one. It's kind of interesting. So I heard some good things about it. I'm not sure though if I'm gonna like it or not. And I'll explain just what I was reading. They do some infusion of some of the like fruits to kind of give it some of that flavor. So I don't. I have a feeling it's gonna have that taste of tequila, but with a scent of some sort of fruit as well with it. But we'll see. We'll see how it tastes. But nevertheless, what we do on Fridays, we drink, we talk code. If you have any coding issues, if there's anything that you want me to review, this is the live stream to do it. Jump on. I'll be more than happy to try to help you out with any issues you may have. I get a lot of emails and even in the comments about, hey, I'm having this issue, right? Or um, maybe one of my projects, like one of my videos of some kind of project that I released, they're like, hey, I follow what you did, but I'm receiving this error message. A lot of the times, these error messages are hard to, like, I cannot always tell by the error message to tell you, like, oh, yeah, this is the issue. It could be all kinds of other issues, right? Um, but nevertheless, this is the time where if you do have that kind of issue, jump on, leave a comment, and we could look into it. Like, we could test it out. We could communicate with each other. I could test it out, code it up, and we could try to figure it out, right? So that's kind of the main thing. What I'm trying to do here, right? I call it drinking with Luke because I enjoy drinking, like casually, of course, not getting drunk, but nevertheless, um, relaxing on a Friday, having a drink. But also, I enjoy coding, man. I enjoy helping y'all out when I can. It's kind of tough sometimes to answer some of the questions, but at least on the live stream, we could walk through it step by step. We could test different scenarios, try to figure out what's going on, what is the issue, right? So that's kind of what we're going to do. Um, so, yeah, let's start off with my drink of choice. So, this is a tequila that I'm having today. Playa Ria. Um, or you want to say it in English, I guess, Playa Rio, but that's not how you ultimately pronounce it. It's a premium tequila, so I'm always a little cautious because in my mind, whenever it's a premium tequila, I'm expecting high quality tequila, right? I expect it to go down smooth, have a nice smooth taste, be able to have a nice balance with the agave taste as well and the smell and all of that. So um, it's gonna be now. I think this is gonna be pretty smooth. I just noticed triple distilled. Now, again, I'm still getting familiar with tequila drinks, and I believe a lot of them are double distilled, and I think once they do triple, it gets more smooth, I guess, probably because of the process, the that it's going through. Um, but again, let's give it a taste, and let's see how good or bad it tastes, right? Now, the thing about their tequila, though, I actually was reading, um, it seems it had like a touch, it had a nice touch, um, like a fruit flavor, I guess, like blend. Not I don't call it blend, but like a hint of a specific fruit that they put in it. Um, I don't know. In some cases, that makes a big difference. Other cases, it just depends. But I'm curious to see how this tastes. So let's see. Gotta start off with the taste smell. So I got a little alcohol on my hands, right? I always like doing the what I call the rub test, right? Put a little alcohol, rub it, and what should happen. And again, this is something I kind of learned from some other people that are way more experienced than I am. But if it evaporates like the way rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer, right? Where when it's all said and done, there's nothing sticky going on, or your hands feel good. That means they're not putting all the sugars inside the drink, and this one does not feel sticky at all. So that's a good sign. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it the smell and taste. It has a strong smell. It smells pretty good, I gotta say. But I could smell something, man. There's a this other hint, some kind of scent. I can't tell what it is, but there's something, man. I could smell some other flavor besides the agaves. It's not bad. It's not a bad drink. Hey, what's up, y'all? So who do we have? Mr. IP2, the real Cynthia. Hey, man, thanks for joining. So I'm drinking some tequila. This is a tequila that I'm drinking today. So tasting it out. Not vodka, it's tequila. I'm a tequila guy. I like tequila, bourbon, and whiskeys. So those are normally my drink of choice. Um, Wanted to give this a taste. I heard some good things about it. But again, at the end of the day, it's I would have to taste it to try to see how good or not good it is. It's a premium tequila. How much did I pay for the tequila? I want to say I paid 38 for it. Which normally that's like the starting point of premium tequilas. Through my experience, like normally when once you start getting when you get to the point of tequila that are considered premium or that are premium, it's within that range. It's within the $38 range, and of course up to I don't know 60, 70, even $80. I think anything above 80 is those rare, um, batches that are like can't be found nowhere, very expensive. That's probably a whole nother level, but it's not bad. I need to taste it. A lot of the time, once I taste a little bit more, I either get a better scent of if I like it or I don't like it. Right now, I'm kind of neutral. I don't think it's bad, but I have tasted better. But it's not bad, though. It's not a bad drink. It is good, though, man. I gotta say, it is good. How about y'all? Are y'all drinking anything? What are y'all doing as for a drink tonight? Just sipping on water, or do you have any kind of drink, any beer, vodka, whiskey? What are y'all drinking? Again, I'm a tequila slash bourbon and whiskey guy. Um, uh, Cognac's all right. I'm not against cognac, but it's very specific cognac. So I'm not like real big on cognac. It depends, right, on the bottle. But for sure, tequila, man. I gotta say, I've been tasting a lot of different tequilas. I'm a big fan of tequilas. Um, and again, it's like any drink, right? The one thing I would say, like with bourbons, that I noticed a big difference of bourbon and whiskeys, like the cheap stuff of whiskeys, like your Jack Daniels and Crown or whatever. Those have a burn, like you feel the burn more to it when you drink it. The better whiskeys, there's some higher end ones. They go down a lot smoother. Like you can tell the difference for sure. You like margaritas? Hey, that's perfect for some tequila for sure. I'm trying to think which tequila goes good with margaritas. I mean, in theory, you could put any kind of tequila into a margarita. But I know I was reading though there are like some specific ones that just kind of work real good with margaritas. And so here's the thing though too, man. So something that I have, just to my own experience, I would tell you this right now. Whenever I buy, like, let's say the tequilas, it doesn't have to be high end, right? It doesn't have to cost like a tequila that's very expensive, but a tequila that is made like with no additives to it, right? They're not adding any sugars to kind of make it sweet, or they're not adding none of that stuff into it. Um, for example, that kind of made the natural way. I could drink a lot of that tequila, and I could wake up the next day and I could be like perfectly fine. But if I drink, like, let's say tequila, let's say Patron, right? Something, for example, like that. They add additives to it to kind of add some of the flavoring and kind of give it, some of the taste or whatever. If I were to drink a lot of that, like, I would feel it the next day. I would actually have like a small headache, and it's a big difference, right? The body reacts to it different. I can't taste the difference in brands. It is like when you're dealing with mixed drinks, it's tough, right? I think where you really notice the difference when it comes to mixed drinks is when you're putting a lot, like let's say you're drinking a lot of margaritas, right? And you put I don't know, let's say the cheap stuff into the margaritas compared to the good stuff. Um, you're probably gonna have a little bit of a hangover, like more of a hangover with the cheap stuff compared to the good stuff. I mean, that's really the only probably way you can even, to really even notice if they're using some decent quality tequila or the cheap tequila. Um, just think of it that way. How do you feel the next day? If you wake up shitty the next day, then those mixed drinks were probably using some cheap stuff. I'm telling you the good stuff, man. When you drink like when I say good stuff, I don't mean expensive, but the stuff that's kind of made the right way, the process on how they make it, the more like the natural way. It's a difference. Like they're not adding all this stuff to it, and you most likely have little hangover to none if you happen to drink a lot, right? That's kind of like again, that's all just my own personal experience, I guess, but that's what it seems like, anyways. I'm trying to think. What do I taste, man? I taste something. Like I could taste the agave in the tequila, but there's some other flavor I could taste. And it's not a bad taste, but it's slightly different. I just can't tell what it is. It's not bad though. I do like it. I do like it. So how is everybody diet going? Y'all doing pretty good? USA adds too many preservatives and stuff to alcohol. So there's a lot of I wouldn't necessarily say the U.S., but it's more the mass production brands, right? So all of your like, let's say celebrity tequilas, for example, or say, let's just say drinks. I'm not even say tequila, just drinks in general, or your major brands that you see out there, right? That's mass produced. Those are the ones because in order for them to keep up with the process. So kind of give an example. When you're dealing with tequila, there's a process with tequila. You gotta like cook the agave, and you gotta let it like the process normally takes anywhere between 6 to 12 months for blanco. Now if you're dealing with some other tequila, they take a little bit longer. The process takes like 18 months to 2 years, and so on. What happens though when you're dealing with mass production? Well, everybody wants it, right? So you gotta speed up the process. So what they do, they cook it. Think of it like pressure cookers. They have to cook the agaves in these pressure cookers. So instead of the process taking, let's say 6 to 12 months to complete, well now it's done like in 3 months. But because you sped up the process, you're losing some of the natural flavors that you get from the overall process. So that's where they have to add flavor to it, right? They're pretty much putting some of these sugars, the sweeteners, or the agave taste, and all that kind of stuff. They have to kind of add on to it, and that's kind of where you know you kind of tell the difference, on that. And then so there's tequila guys that I follow, and they're very like against celebrity tequilas. And one of the main reasons they're against them, because a lot of them they kind of take shortcuts in the process, right, to kind of do mass production. But the other thing also is the is not just the mass production of it, but again you got to add all of these preservatives, all the other stuff to kind of to get it to even taste like somewhat like tequila, right? Because there's no flavor. I mean, when you pressure cook it and speed up the process, really what you're getting is alcohol with no flavor, which I mean that's defeat the purpose, right, of tequila. But then you got to add that flavor into it, and I don't know. It's one of those deals where a lot of the time the best tequilas, and again I'm talking about tequila in this case, but this does apply to other drinks as well besides tequilas, is like your smaller brands, the ones that they only make a few batches at a time, right? They only produce like so many bottles per per run, because they're letting it go through the natural process. They're actually taking 18 months to make or whatever, and just kind of letting everything happen naturally, I guess, when it comes to flavoring. But again, everybody, it's each to its own, right? So whatever you like, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Any of y'all Any of y'all do any programming or anything, or just kind of curious? I know I have a lot of my followers that follow me on YouTube are programmers or people who are trying to learn programming. So a lot of time we have live streams. A lot of people ask me questions about, hey, can you help me out with this code base, or can you, uh, I have a problem with this project, Python programming specifically. So I was just kind of curious if anybody who's watching my live stream happens to be a programmer or not. Also, too, I actually just made a video. I published it like what 2 hours ago, maybe. But I'm having one of the things that I'm going to be doing going forward is I'm going to be giving away. I have a lot of equipment. I'm a tech guy. I like it. I have a lot of equipment, so I'm going to be giving away some of my equipment every month. One of the things that I'm giving away is going to be this keyboard back here in the back. So it's a Microsoft ergonomic keyboard. Um, so the only requirement is you give me a follow, and then that's it. Right? You could email me if you're interested at my email, which is at contact@iamlou.net, and then of course just put a subject of April giveaway. Right, and ultimately what I'm gonna be doing is I'm going to be putting together a list of everybody's who wants to be part of that drawing, the raffle, and then I'm gonna do next week, pretty much a random pick, and whoever picked, right, do a giveaway. So if you're interested, by all means, go ahead and um, email me at my email and just put the subject, and I'll put your name in the raffle, and I'll be doing that next week. Let's see who's this. He Heatherland '06. Okay, I'm a data analyst, but I have used some of your SharePoint videos to create some tools at my job. Awesome, man. That's cool. Have you had any issues um, on on the code that you use for my videos? So one of the things that I get a lot of, and again, I think that it's a specific issue, but I think the issue is very broad. Like, could be many different scenarios of why that's happening. But I'm just kind of curious if you have had any issues connecting to SharePoint using SharePlump, or using the code that I put out there. Because I am having some viewers that of course have success, other viewers that are having issues. So I have been getting emails um, about having issues connecting to SharePoint. But again, it's so broad. It just depends on what it is. Do you have experience with PYODBC? I do. I do have experience with that. Are you starting to use PYODBC? Is that something a new package that you're getting familiar with, or are you already familiar with that package? So PYODBC, when I first started programming, that's kind of one of those main packages um, that I use to do a lot of querying the database, things of that nature, and it works good for it's just gonna do basic stuff in my mind. We're gonna put it this way: you could do complex stuff and it works fine. Over time, though, one of the things, especially if I'm dealing with certain models, like defined sets of models that I'm dealing with, that's where I normally end up using a ORM. Something like Peewee, the good one, Peewee ORM. But I think as when you first getting started, you're just kind of, in your case, you're a data analyst. So my guess is you're probably connecting to a lot of different um, different tables, different views. You're probably creating your own ad hoc queries, perhaps, or something to kind of pull in, and ultimately to do some analyzing or normalization and things of that nature. So I think it works good for that. But I would say though, like that, depending on your use case, right? At the end of the day, just kind of depends. ORMs come in very handy when you're querying, certain tables and things of that nature. My job uses QuickBooks, and I was hoping to use that package to create tools to insert data into the application. So, are you referring to QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks like the what is it called, like QuickBooks Enterprise? Because I think with QuickBooks Online, in order like there's an API for that, and ultimately you could pull data from the API and then of course load data back to the API. But you can't really query it from a SQL standpoint. Now I know that the QuickBook Enterprise data, that one does have abilities to connect to it, the desktop. Yeah, so it sounds like you're probably using QuickBook Enterprise. It's what I'm assuming. So like QuickBook Enterprise only works for desktop. Yep, that makes sense. Um, and on that one, it is a ODBC. Um, but I believe so. And maybe you kind of provide some insight on that. So I actually worked on a project about a year ago on QuickBook Enterprise. I couldn't find a direct way, and then maybe I missed it, right? But I couldn't find a direct way to connect to the QuickBooks Enterprise database. What I did find though, there's this other tool which is called QCubes, and what they do, they pretty much provide you a ODBC connection. So ultimately, what it is, that QCube software gets installed on the same desktop, and then it's able to connect. Like you already have all the connectors in place to connect to QuickBooks desktop. And what you do, you just connect to the what's called like QQ's ODBC connection, right? And then of course you'll be able to access all of the tables like normal. And then that's how I was able to ultimately pull all the data that I needed. Because ultimately what we started doing for this client, we started doing some pretty much pulling all the data and loading it to a data warehouse. And once I extracted all that data, but I needed a connection, so I did use Python. So ultimately, I was able to through that tool, which is just no different, just a connection to QuickBooks Enterprise through ODBC. I was able to connect to the QCubes ODBC connection, which again is connected to QuickBooks Enterprise. And then from there, I was able to select the table that I needed, and then I just extracted that out. I uploaded it to an S3 bucket. From there, I had an AWS glue job to ingest all of the data from an S3 bucket, and then it got loaded to a database. So they have a free ODBC called QODBC, but it's very slow. That's exactly what I'm trying to do as well. Awesome. Okay, that's cool. So the main thing is gonna be connecting to it, right? The QCube that I use is actually pretty fast. But I'm not using the QuickBooks ODBC. I'm using the other. It's called QCubes. Let me see if I can find it real quick. You do have to pay for it, but ultimately it has a they have support as well for it, and it works fine. Put it that way. It actually does what it's supposed to do. It's just working as a middleman. Let me share my screen real quick. So it's this guy here, QCubes. Let's see. Live data outside of QuickBooks using direct blah blah blah. So it has other capabilities that come built in, but the one that I use for it is ultimately this raw ODBC connector, right? That's all it is. Ultimately, it has a connector to the I'm assuming perhaps QODBC connection, but it is fast though. It's not slow. And then that's what I end up using. And then from there, it's very straightforward, right? Just connect to it. like any normal ODBC connection and do what you need to do, and it's pretty straightforward. Um, but yeah, it's all. I know it was a little pain in the ass in the beginning though, because of just the way QuickBooks Enterprise works. Right? It's not like any other system. Like they're not loading data to an actual database. They're loading data to their own like proprietary type database that they have. It seems like. So it's not like a traditional SQL Server or Oracle or Postgres database that it's being loaded to, and you can just connect to that and pull data. It's like their own localized proprietary. But that's what it seems like. Database that they have that only exists on that database. Then of course you just have to pull from there. Um, but I had issues with. I don't know if you had any issues, but I had some issues when I was trying to connect to it. Like I do recall reading the docs for the key ODBC. I was having some issues connecting to it. And then that's kind of when we went with the other approach, the Q Cubes approach, because they already kind of had the legwork done. At least from a connector standpoint, it was pretty straightforward to set up. Then from there, I was just able to connect to it, and everything was fine. Um, well, I think what it is now that I think about it with the Q cubes. I forgot there is a process like a scheduler that runs. I don't know why I completely forgot. I don't think it's a connector. I think what it's doing Q cubes, it connects to QuickBooks Enterprise and it pulls all of the data over, and it mimics the same structure that Q cubes has. Not Q cubes, QuickBooks has, but it puts it into, again, I guess in Cube's like database. It's what it seems like. That's localized as well, but that's way more robust. It's very fast. Um, and I think that's what it is, because when the process runs as well to pull the data over, man, that QuickBook Enterprise does not have a lot of data either, man. Like from a detail standpoint, like, which is probably gonna be like sales and inventory, like those main tables. The one that I was working on probably has like 7,000 rows. That's not a lot. But even then, when you run the process, it literally takes like 45 minutes to kind of move over. But once QCube is done moving all the data over into its own models, and then I connect to the QCube's ODBC connection, everything is like instant, man. I could pull all the data, I could query, everything is like pretty much real time. I wanna say I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't use it to push data to QuickBooks Enterprise. I only use it to pull data. Um, so that I'm not sure if it does give you the ability to push data in. I know for that, I at one point in the beginning of this project, I did look into their API. Uh, QuickBooks Desktop does have an API for that, but either I kind of stopped looking into it because eventually we realized we don't need to push nothing in. We're just pulling data out. So that's kind of where I stopped looking into it. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. It may not be it may not have any input strictly out, I believe. So at least from a data, especially in your case, if you're trying to actually use the data for reporting things of that nature, then that's kind of where it makes sense for that, because it'll speed up the process for sure compared to taking whatever how long it takes now to pull the data. I mean, again, it is like a middleman, the Q cubes, but it helps out because you can easily just schedule it to pull data, twice, four times a day or whatever. Like that's how I have it now for my client. We have the job running four times a day. It pulls all the data out from QuickBooks Enterprise into the Q Cube model, and then ultimately I just call the Q Cube ODBC connection. And when I do that, everything's instant, right? Like I'm able to get all of my data back in a matter of like, seconds, and I'm done. Where the process to pull data out of QuickBooks Enterprise out, like man, that process takes like 45 minutes. It just, and again, kind of going back to what you're saying, it's very slow. So yeah, I'm not sure why it's that slow, but it is. Honestly, I just wish what they would have done with that, and I don't know. I know why they haven't done it, right? So the reason why I could think of they have not made that change in their system is probably more so because, well, why are we going to spend money on changing something that in their mind it's not broken? It's not broken, and if you make a big change, there's a good chance you're probably going to break something, and it's going to cost money to make those changes. But I would have, like, just from a design standpoint, if you're going to have it locally to begin with, it makes sense. Like, man, how about have a process where it install the local database? I think that's fine. I don't see that being an issue. And all your data could get loaded there. And then anybody, like your end user, could query it for BI purposes without any issues. Let's see. Do you have any videos on creating an ETL pipeline? Um, so I have some live streams. I think it was the last two, maybe, live streams that I did. I had a viewer asking about data pipelines. So we kind of went through the process and I kind of showed them some steps. Um, so those are the only videos I have now. I don't have any, but I do have that on my list to make some videos related to that. Is there anything specific you're trying to see when it comes to the pipeline? Like, are you trying to one of the things that we did on a live stream the last 2 week or last maybe week or so in the live streams that I had was we in our pipeline was we pulled data from SharePoint. We took that data from SharePoint, then we end up loading it to an S3 bucket, and then we created an AWS glue job that ultimately is reading the files in the S3 bucket, extracting that out, and then of course loading it into a Redshift database. So that was kind of the pipeline for that. SharePoint, upload to S3 bucket, um, the glue job to pretty much extract the data and then load the data to a Redshift database. But I do have it on my to-do list of videos to do a video related to that. But yeah, let me know if there's anything specific that you're interested in. So whenever I make the video, I'll try to include some of those pieces as well on, at least kind of give you some insight. Are you trying to see the pipeline? Like what tools, I guess, are you using today? Like, are you using Azure, AWS, any kind of other tool, external tools, like local on-prem tools, or really doesn't matter? You just want to kind of see just any kind of pipeline process. And this tequila is good, but I don't know. I still will say that there's others that I've tasted that I will say that are better, but it's good, but it's not the best. But yeah, when it comes to pipelines, I'll make a video again. I do have it on my list to do, so I'll make one, and I'll kind of you know at least you get an idea. In my case, I would probably do it in AWS. Um, I'll probably do it in Azure as well, but I'll do one first in AWS. There's actually a few videos I'm gonna do related to AWS. I've been getting a few requests to make a video related to Lambda AWS, like how to use that functionality to ultimately trigger AWS glue jobs. So we'll see. Um, let's see. It's realtors back to this QuickBook project. I'm waiting to. It relates. It relates back to this QuickBooks project. I'm waiting to create a pipeline instead of buying a connector. So is your goal with the QuickBooks project, is it to extract, I'm assuming, some key tables, or let's just say key tables for now. And then are you trying to load that to a database somewhere eventually, like SQL Server, Redshift, Postgres, MySQL, something of that nature, I guess. That's ultimately the goal. Take the data and then kind of get it loaded to a database. Here's the thing: if you're able to connect to the QuickBooks desktop database already, even though it's slow, right? Like you mentioned that it's slow, but let's just say you're able to connect to it either way. That's really the step one, right? Just be able to connect to it. Once you could do that, then ultimately it's, you know, um, I could probably share some of the code that I have that relates to that as well, and I'll make a video related to that. But ultimately, you'll be able to, you know what? Let me see if I have it real quick. I may be able to show some of the stuff that I'm doing, but let me take a look at it. I just want to make sure that I don't have nothing that's sensitive that I probably shouldn't be showing. Because again, this does relate. It relates to one of my clients' projects, but I don't think I have anything that's sensitive. Let me see. Oh man, did I do one on this PC? I wonder if I did on my other computer. Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at my other computer. Either way, I'll take a look at it, and I have two computers. I'm the one that I'm streaming on right now is my Windows, you know, PC, which I use for gaming and streaming. My other one, can't see it, but it's in front of me. That's my workstation. That's where I have my code base at. I'm pretty sure I probably could get it from my GitLab account. But either way, I'll take a look at it. If there's nothing sensitive, because ultimately what I'm doing on that project, because again it relates to QuickBooks Enterprise, I'm just using a different connection, which is the QCubes Connect, the ODBC connection. But assuming that you're able to connect to it already to begin with, everything else after that I think would be very similar. Where I'm querying the data, then what I'm doing, I'm saving the data out to a CSV file, and then after I save it out to a CSV file, I end up uploading it to an S3 bucket and AWS. And then once all of my files have been pushed out to AWS S3 bucket, then that's where I have another process that ultimately runs on AWS. It runs a process to ETL the files in S3 bucket ultimately, and then load the data to a Redshift database. So that seems like kind of something similar to what you're trying to do. And again, I'm pulling the same kind of data you're pulling, QuickBook Enterprise data. I think the only difference is I'm using QCube's ODBC connection, which is kind of like the middleman, I guess, where it sounds like in your case, you're connecting directly to QuickBooks. But I think that piece should be still something similar, right? On what we're trying to do. Let's see. And be able to insert data. I want to be able to load the tables into a database so that I can create, automate reports. Oh, yep, that's exactly what I'm doing too in my case. How do you get your start in programming? So I started really, for me, I started my so I got my fee. The way I got into IT was not really programming, but more data from a database standpoint. Um, that's where I got started. I remember I had a colleague that worked. He worked from the IT department, and I worked in more so in operations. And I used to do a lot of like documentations of process flows and things of that nature. And I was actually helping his department out. They needed some help. He was a C# developer, and he likes to code, but he did not like database. And here's the weird thing: a lot of people that I know that are like software guys, they don't always like, a lot of them don't like database. They just don't. They don't like dealing with databases, right? But they know how to do it. So in his case, he had to build this view, and it was kind of complex, but he had to build this view. And I saw him, and I was like, "Hey, what you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I gotta build this damn SQL view, like trying to figure things out." It was like a brand new system, so he was trying to get familiar with the tables and all that. It's a learning process. But either way, I was like, man, that looks so, like in my mind, like again, I was like, dude, that looks cool. Like that looks real cool. Like I want to learn how to do that. So I started asking questions like, what is it? What's the, he told me like, yeah, it's a SQL Server database. And, really that's all. He told me very basic stuff, right? Dude, I went home that day. I started querying what is SQL Server. Like again, this was years back. This would have been like 10 years ago or so, around there, maybe more, 11 years ago. But I started querying, hey, what is SQL Server, and tutorials, and I was spending hours every day after work. After work, go straight home, easily spend 4 to 6 hours every day, and I was doing that for like 2 weeks straight. And then one day, so as I was learning though, I asked him like, hey, because I heard him like kind of complaining, like, oh, I don't want to do this shit or whatever. No, he didn't want to do it. He just didn't want to do it, but he was doing it because he had to. Like, hey, like, I could do that for you. Like, I've been learning. Like I told him, I've been learning, and I think I may be able to figure it out. I have no idea that I can even do anything, but I was like, hey, I want to try at least, right? He was like, sure, man. He gave it to me. It was so quick. Like, here, take it. Like, I don't want it. Yeah, go ahead and give it a try. Either way, so I tried it out. Probably like 2 weeks later, I was able to put something together. Again, I had to do this on the side because I did have technically another job. That wasn't my job. This is like all doing it on the side. I put together a view, and it got the job done. Like I deployed it out and did all of that, and presented it to operations, like the business, and everybody was like, "Oh, like damn, this is awesome! Like you did this!" Like everybody's surprised, right? And I was like, yeah. Now, here's the thing, that the code sucked. The code was crap, but at the end of the day, from a business, they could care less if your code is messy, or like they don't care, or spaghetti code or whatever. Like my SQL statement, right? My query was very messy, but they could care less. They just care that the output is what they want it to be. And so after that day, the manager for IT, which is the guy's boss, the one that passed it over, his boss, he was the manager, he reached out to me and said, hey, you want to come work for us? I was like, sure. And then, of course, I got my foot in IT. And again, this would have been, man, I'm trying to think how far back was this. This would have been probably a good 11 years ago. And ever since then, I've been in IT. But kind of going back, when did I learn programming? I learned SQL database first. I did that for a good 3 years solid. So I became real solid in SQL, like learning a lot of the more advanced SQLs, procedure, functions, iterations in SQL. Like, a lot of times people think SQL, you got your basics, which is insert data, your query data. But then there's more advanced processes in SQL, right? Dealing with variables, dealing with like procedural, store procedures, loops, iterations, conditioning, dynamic SQL, there all this other stuff, right? And a lot of that I started learning within the 3 years, 4 years. But it probably wasn't until like 3, 4 years where at same company that I worked at. And again, I was part of IT by then. I was part of the IT department, but I wasn't a developer, right? I was a database guy. We had a meeting, and I was helping operations. We were trying to build this process for operations, and I told him, like, dude, I have an idea. Like, we could like build this app that does X, Y, and Z, and this should be able to automate all this stuff, right? In my mind, I was trying to automate everything that I can in this new project. We had a meeting with IT. I told IT, hey, IT, this is what we need to build. We're trying to build this app that does this and does that, and so on. They're like, oh man, that can't be done. It's impossible to be done. It can't be done. That's what the programmers told me, right? Now when I look back, I think what it is not that it couldn't be done, because I think they probably could have built something. I think what it was, they didn't want to build it. That's a big difference. They have no desire to building it. And now that I'm a programmer myself and I know what it is to program, apps, even though sometimes, may seem like, oh, it's straightforward, we just got to do X, Y, and Z. There's a lot more into it, right? And unless you have some kind of desire behind it to kind of pursue it and put action behind it, man, you don't want to, you really don't want to deal with it. Um, but again, at that time, I was like, when they told me that, I was like, bullshit. What do you mean it can't be done? I know it can't be done. Here's the thing: I never programmed. All I knew was database, right? But I never programmed before in my life. Before that, but I was like, in my mind, I was like, bullshit, and I know it could be done. So same thing. I went home that day, and then I went online. And at that time, Coursera, which I mean, maybe you're familiar with it now, but back then Coursera was free. They were like barely coming out, so they were giving out all of these like courses for free, pretty much, because they were still new. I took a programming fundamentals course, and it just happened to be using Python, right? So I wasn't trying to learn Python. It just that's the language that they use for programming, like fundamentals. So as I started learning my fundamentals, and a lot of that I learned so fast because since I became kind of more advanced in SQL, and in SQL I was dealing with variables, data types, iterations, all this, things of that nature, right? So because I was already dealing with some of that stuff, it wasn't new to me. I already understood how that worked. I already understood if statements, um, variables, right? Assigning values to variables. Like there's a lot of things that I kind of already understood. And then of course, as I started learning, like throughout, it was like 8 week course, but it wasn't like an 8 week course that you could take all in 1 week if you want. Like you literally had to wait 8 weeks. Each week a new course was being released, and then you get graded and all that stuff. By the time I got probably like into week 3 or 4, I think I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start building my app. So whatever I learned, I started building an app. Then I started learning even more because I was building a UI type app as well, not just a script, but I started putting an interface to it. Either way, I end up short story was I end up building this app that pretty much did everything I was trying to do that I told IT to do, and they're like, oh, it can't be done. And from that point on, that's where I started programming. Like my programming knowledge like went through the roof. And I think what helped out was I had a real problem I was trying to solve. I was trying to solve a real legitimate problem at the time. And I used code to solve the problem. And so even though I was learning in the same time, but I wasn't just learning, like when you take some of these online courses or whatever, they teach you stuff that may not be like projects that you probably don't even see as real. Most people don't see it as real examples because they're not. Like, oh, you're going to build this tic-tac-toe game or whatever, right? Let's create a calculator. Like, I know the example they show in these tutorials, they are going to show you like how to assign variables and loops and all these other stuff. Like, they're going to show you that. But a lot of the times I feel like when you apply something to like real application, like a real project, right? Something that's actually like real, you're gonna utilize in the business, you're gonna see in action. Like it's different, I feel like. And I feel that made my expand my knowledge like through the roof real quick. And then from there I just started building and working on other stuff. Started building, me and a buddy of mine, we started building some scripts to aggregate data from FanDuel, like the sports gambling. This is way back in the day, right? And I don't know if the scripts that we created still work today, but we're pulling all kinds of data, man. We're pulling millions of rows of data on a probably every 2-3 days. I think at the time the NBA was going, so like every 2 days or so, like we're collecting a total of, I don't know, I'm gonna say anywhere like 10 million rows of data or so. Which means in a matter of a week or a month, dude, we had like over 100 million rows of data that we're collecting. But again, I started doing that for that. And then from there, I started building other projects. Eventually, one of my a company that I worked for in the past, I had actually built a desktop application, a full-on desktop that kind of looked, I don't know if you're familiar with SAP, but it was a desktop application that looked very similar to SAP. It had a mini module, dozens of different modules, did all kinds of stuff. And it was probably that's one of my biggest projects I feel that I built from scratch. It looked pretty nice, clean, polished. It was doing all kinds of stuff, like a lot of different modules, like for a customer, for calls, sales, like all kinds of different stuff. Like man, if I were to guess, that project was probably easy couple 100,000 rolled the code I think for that project. But from then on, like now I have my own business. I've been running my own business now for like about to be 4 years this year, and I do software development and API development and stuff like that. So now I'm always in it. I have a team, a small team. So I have like one employee and then one contractor. So they help me out. So um, they for sure had took off some of my workload that I was doing before. Like when I first started my business, it was just strictly me. Like when you get started, you gotta get started somehow. It was strictly me, nobody else, no help. So I was like, dude, I was working easy 15, 16, 7, even 18-hour days. I was coding every day, Monday through Sunday, and I did that for a few years, like 2 years, 3 years. Like I did it for a while, for sure 2 years, and then eventually, I got it to a point where I got enough business where I was able to hire somebody, then got a contractor. So now they took a lot of my workload off, which ultimately now allows me to do more stuff like this, to be able to do some more YouTube and streaming and things of that nature. I still code, man. I still code a decent amount, but um, I don't have to do everything no more either because I do have some help as well. Let's see. Exactly. That's why your videos are awesome. They are real business scenarios. So a lot of the videos, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. A lot of the videos that I have made, uh, maybe not exactly to the T, but very similar. I made those videos because I actually had projects that I had to find a solution for a real project that I was working on. Like I had a real project where I needed to do X, Y, and Z. Right? I need a upload file. I need a download file from SharePoint, or upload file to SharePoint, or migrate files over from SharePoint to AWS S3, things of that nature. So that's kind of why I put those videos together, because I know there's more likely real scenarios that are trying to do that. And you don't find too many videos like that. Like if you were to put Python programming or something of that sort related to Python, you're gonna find more like what you're gonna find more videos of for sure. Gonna be like, oh, Python, and what's the for loop, or variables, or again very basic. And I'm not saying that those don't have their benefits, because they do, but there's times where people like, hey, how do I like literally how do I how can I take download a file from SharePoint and upload it in S3. You don't find too many videos that actually shows you code of how to do that piece of it. But again, I did a lot of the videos because I actually had to deal with it. I actually had a real projects that I had to solve that problem, I guess, right? So that's kind of at least the way I'm trying to approach some of my videos is what are stuff that I'm actually doing, like real projects that I'm working on now, that ultimately I feel that could be beneficial, right? Other people that they may have the same problem and they may want to know how to do it. And I've been making more videos lately than before, but again, I have a little bit more time now. I think that's the big difference. I think like my first YouTube video that I made was like maybe 2.5 years ago or something like that. But even then, it was like, man, it was like one video here, maybe 2 3 months, 2 months later, another video, 2 months later, another video. But I think the last couple of months, I've been dropping a few more videos, a couple of videos per month, and then a lot more live streams that I'm doing like consistently. We've been doing like coding sessions as well. Like probably the last couple of weeks, um, I've been having viewers join in. They're like, hey, can you help me out with something specific? And then of course we code it up, we test it out, we build it, and or debug it if people have like coding, they want me to review their code, whatever. So that's kind of where a lot of the time the live streams come in handy for that kind of stuff, where somebody needs whatever issue they have, we could try to like actually walk through it. I could code it up live and debug it live, and try to solve these problems as well as we do the live streams. Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. That's exactly what it is. They're very cookie cutter. They're and again, there are some benefits to those videos, but in the same time, like there are some people that are like real new in programming. So those videos may be a little bit more beneficial, but I didn't want to make those videos either though. In my mind, I'm like, all right, if somebody really wants to learn that, there's already so many videos out there talking about that. So that's kind of, at least in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, well, what can I do to be a little bit different? At least in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, well, how about if I make content that relates to real business, like real business scenarios, like real problems, right? That not just me, because I know I'm trying to solve these problems, but there's probably other people in the same boat as me that's trying to do the same thing. And if they are, my code hopefully, would help them out where they could literally just take what I have and, pop it in and use it, right? Or even if they have like a bigger project, they could like pop it in a specific, class or, or something in their project and have it good to go. So that's the plan in a way. Then that's kind of where I've been trying to focus more on making those kind of videos. I do have a list of items, and I do have a request. I have got a lot of requests from people of like, hey, can you make a video of this and that? And I think a lot of it has to do because these are like problems they're going through, right, or stuff they're trying to solve, like even at their current job where they work at. So I do have a list, and there'll be new videos. There should be a new one probably coming out on Tuesday. I say Tuesday, but honestly, I'm not gonna record it to Tuesday. Sometimes it just depends, like But yeah, I need to head out. Good talking to you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Same here, man. So again, live here every Friday. We'll be streaming. So man, by all means, if you have any issues or anything, just jump on again on live stream and we'll see what we could do. And I'll be making a video soon related to the pipeline, so that will be coming out soon. Man, it's actually getting a bit warm. So let me want to turn down my air. I say it's getting a little warm, but you know what? I think it's a combination of I'm drinking, which is number one, and also it is a bit warming. I have all my lights on. These lights don't produce a lot of heat, but the lights that I have on top, those actually do. I don't really want to turn them off either, because if I turn them off, I feel it gets a little bit too dark. But either way, it's fine. I turn down the air. Let's see. Again, guys, any questions that you have related to programming, man, this is the time to do it in the live streams. Um, this is the time for me to where I'm giving my time. Be more than happy to review your code. If you got any coding problem that you want me to solve, try to solve it. Things of that nature, right? That's the purpose. That's the goal. What I'm trying to do with the live streams. I do appreciate everybody who has been joining and do join the live streams. And yeah, man. Again, so that's the plan. That's what we're trying to do here. Also, keep in mind, I have a video, so check out the video if you're interested. But I'm giving away one of my keyboards. So if you're interested, the only thing that's required is you got to be a follower. You follow me here on YouTube, and then you'll see in the video I provided my email. For now, that's the way I'm gonna take in requests through email. If you're interested, just put a title subject of April giveaway. That's it. But one of the things I'm going to be doing, I'm actually going to be creating an app to kind of build out that process, to build an app that you could just go to online, like a portal, and register if you're interested. So that's in the works, and probably make a video. I don't have I don't have no questions about anything, so I may end up doing that now. Start kind of work on that piece. But I just want to put that out there, right? So if you're interested in the giveaway, go check out the video. You'll find some details, but ultimately, it's mainly give me a follow, send me an email, and then you could qualify for the keyboard. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start a new project. I think, damn, did I? Let me see. I think I did. GitLab. I think I created a repo in GitLab. But I don't think I have anything yet. It's like a blank repo that I kind of put. I got it ready, so when I am ready to work it, I can. Let's see. Yeah, there it goes. I see it. All right. Yep. So I don't have nothing in here. Let me go ahead and clone this and let's get started. We could work on this for now. So I need to create a new project, a new folder for this under my. Yep, there it goes. I'm gonna put it in here. Oops. All right. So now let me go ahead and clone my project. All right, cool. Now that it's cloning, all right. So now let me open this up in VS Code. Close folder. So ultimately what this project is going to be, I'm trying to, man, did I start building it out? Let me see if I can find my folder. I think I started building out the structure slightly. Let's see. Damn, where did I put the documentation? Damn, where did I put it at? Damn it, man. I can't find it now. I swear I had a file that I created. Damn it. So I'm just looking at my whiteboard. That's why I'm looking over to the side. So I think the way I'm going to try to keep it basic and keep it simple because it's something I want to build quick. That's the plan anyways, right? You know what? So before I do that, let me just go ahead and get everything going with my project with Django. So I need to create a virtual environment first. So let me go ahead and get that set up. I'm going to be using, in my case, Django 4. What version? Let me see. Django. I believe this is the latest stable release. That's what I want to make sure. I don't want the newest release. I want the latest stable release, the latest official release. So series 4.0. It's always interesting. Like right now, Django 3.2. I guess let me show this. So just so if those of y'all who are familiar or not familiar. So a lot of time when you're going to use a specific framework. So I like Django because it's very has a good community. It's very well established. Like in my mind, Django is one of the frameworks that have been proven already. Has years of fine tuning, of proving use case. You know that it works, right? That it's stable, it's secure, things of those natures, right? So, but one of the things that kind of take a look at is, so see how the 3.2 release, it started getting support in 2022. What the hell's happening here, guys? I cannot click on nothing. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. Oh, maybe because it's already green. But either way, so 2021, and then the support ends in 2024. So that's like 2 years from now. At least you know for the next 2 years it's going to be supported. And then, of course, from there, it's a matter of upgrading or so on. But when I look at 4.0 series, right now it has it as it started April 2022. Hold on. August 22. We are in August 2022. Oh, my bad. Hold on. Latest release, end of mainstream. So my bad. The end of mainstream support is on April 22 this year. And then of course extended support ends the following year, pretty much a year from now. Let's look at what the roadmap is here. So that's for 4.0, and then you got 4.1, then 4.2, which goes out of 2026. So this should be fine. Ultimately, I'm going to end up using 4.0.4, and then ultimately what you should be able to do in these cases is upgrade to the different versions. All right. So guys, I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break. We'll be back on in 5 minutes, real quick. We'll be back. All right, guys, I'm back. Okay, so let me make this a little bit bigger. So am I act? No, damn. Let me. Source my virtual environment. Again, if you're using Linux or Macs, it would be, instead of scripts, it would be bin. So just kind of keep that in mind. So now that I have my environment activated, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start installing certain packages that I know I'm going to need and use, right? So one of them will be Django. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to install. So I'm going to do pip install Django, but in my case I want 4.0.4. That's the version that I want. Now by default we're going to see other packages being installed too, like SQL parser, whatever. There should be other one. Let's see, what is it collecting? It's actually taking a while. Okay, well this is going. That's fine. Okay, so now that that's installed, we're good. I'm gonna be using Python. What am I talking about? Python. We know we're using Python. Shit, that's what I get because I'm drinking a little bit too much tequila. I know I'm gonna be using Postgres for my back end. So what I'm gonna do next is we're gonna end up. We're gonna be pretty much install this package. So I want to read something real quick. Implemented in C, wrapper, blah blah blah. So you can also obtain a standalone package, not requiring a compiler or external libraries, by installing this package. So we could install this guy. Building requirements, C compiler, some deliver. Please check out installer. If prerequisitions are met, you can install like any other Python package. Okay, so there's a build process that's kind of involved with this. Now, in our case, we're going to install the binary version. And the reason why is whenever, even though this works on Windows, but when it comes to deploying it on a Linux machine or even Mac, you're going to have issues. You're going to want the binary version. So because of that, we're going to just keep it consistent, and we're going to start off by installing the binary package. Installed successfully. Good. All right, so we're good. We're good to go on that piece. So that I have that. I have my Postgres. What else? My bad. So Django. That. Man, I'm trying to think if that's it. That may be it. Go back to my project. Oh, my bad. Okay, so now that we have Django installed, and let me just, the reason why I want to show you that, let me go to Django Projects. So those of you who are new, getting familiar with Django, I want you to kind of be able to know where to go, especially if you go to the main sources. In this case, it's the Django documentation, right? So one of the things that we're going to look into is when you first get started, how do you create your project for your Django application? And when we go to getting started, you'll see again quick install and so on. So let's start at quick install. it's going to talk about virtual environments, I believe, and things of that nature. We already have all of that. One of the things I want you to see is going to be this. So in Django, we're going to end up creating, and let me make sure I'm under the 4.0. Yep. We got to create what's called a project, right? So we're going to use a command which is called start project. So think of it the way it is in Django, just so you get familiar. You create a project. Think of a project kind of like your repo, right? You got your one project. They're gonna have all your source code involved in that one project, or you could have mini apps in that one project. So you're gonna have one project, and then in that one project, you're going to have potentially mini apps. So again, you could have an app that relates to, I don't know, CRM. You can have an app that relates to maybe some sales logs or something. I mean, it just depends, right, on what it is. But that's kind of how the whole structure is gonna end up being built. So let's see. All right, so then we're gonna do the same thing, and in my case, my project, I'm going to call it I'm going to call it web. So that's what I'm trying to think. What should I call it, man? Yeah, I'm gonna call it web. That's fine. So let's run Django admin start project web. Then ultimately we're gonna see VS Studio. We'll see you have a new folder now, because that's what we created, right? Let me make it bigger because it's kind of small. All right, cool. So ultimately we have a new project in here, right, called web. So web in Django, again, think of web as like kind of like your configuration section, right? Your page. And that's where we have our settings. You know, we have all this. You have your secret key. We'll talk about this later, but ultimately for testing, I'm going to leave it in here. Ideally, you would not leave your secret key in here. You would leave it somewhere else, and then it gets imported in. So like that, you kind of save it and keep it secret, right? That's the purpose of it. We have allowed host. In this case, you know, I'm going to go ahead and just add my local host right now, 127.0.0.1. And then, of course, we could add more as well. Or let's say if I wanted to do testing, but I wanted to be able to implement it, like let's say I want to access it on my phone, right? A good example would be I would put in my actual IP. Now what I'm about to put in is my local IP for this computer, which I believe is 192.168.153 maybe. I don't know, something like that. But we don't have any apps installed, but these are some of the apps that come with Django that's going to get installed. Directory, we're gonna do templates. So eventually there will be a template folder. Let's go to get that created now. We're gonna call this templates. Should call it template. I don't know why I call it templates. So template. Rename. All right, cool. We have that. One of the things we need to create. So some of the folder that I'm starting to create right now is kind of like your standard structure when you're dealing with Django. And I should not make it capitalized. It should all be lowercase. Static. Let me make this lowercase. I don't know why I made it uppercase. template, static. That's fine for now. So in here under database settings, we're gonna take a look at, well, let's say because you could be dealing with different databases, right? So let's just kind of take a look. Let's take a look at let's see, where would this be under? This would be under, let's look at database. So see, you have Postgres, MySQL. So let's do Postgres real quick. That's what we're gonna do. So it kind of gives you a snippet of what it is. So optional is what it is. Optional. Most of the time, there's may not be a need for that. Now the reason why you could tell this is pointing to this .pg service file config, which has all your information. So that's one way to do it, right? The way I normally do mine is I actually have variables pointing to my my credentials. I'm trying to see if they had an example for that, but I guess not. They don't have one, so that's fine. I'll show you an example of that if that's the case. That's from a file. Let's see. Again, same thing. That's not what I want to show y'all. There we go. This is what I want to show y'all. So if you want to do another connection where you're pretty much have all of your in my case, I'm not going to hard code in anything, right? My port and host, but these are going to get passed in as variables. So that's the way I would handle this guy. And again, this is for Oracle, but again, this applies to Postgres as well. I just need to change my engine to be the Postgres engine. In this case, it's pointing to Oracle. That's the difference, right? So, it could be Oracle or SQL Server, MySQL, and so on. But nevertheless, this is what I need. So I'm going to take this. By default, it will generate a SQLite database. You know what? Let's just keep SQLite, right? Just so I can show y'all, right? We'll run the process. We'll take a look at it. You could take a look at it and just kind of be able to at least experiment for yourself. So once we get that up, we create our project. We don't have any apps, created yet, but at least we have a project created. So since our project is created, we could do Python. What am I missing here? Okay. Not sure why I put it this way. Maybe the structure. So whenever I created my project, it created this folder called web, which has all of my settings inside web, which is really what I wanted to begin with. All of these, hold on, let me see. I think I'm wrong. Web, there we go. The web database manage. That's where I think I messed up here. So my template is going to come in here. Remove. My static is going to come in here as well. I'm putting all inside the project. My NAV could stay out here. That's fine. I got my project, blah blah blah. So this is fine. Let me make sure. And again, I'm using a newer version of Python. Most of my projects that I have, I've been using 3.2, I believe. I'm trying to think if there was some. I should have read the documentation, see what changed, what actually did change. Maybe something did change. I don't think nothing major changed, but something obviously got changed. Again, this is fine. That could stay where that. Readme could stay on the outside. That's fine. The way the project would look like would be this when I get sent out. So one of the things that we would do as well, let's go ahead and do it real quick. Is we're gonna go ahead and create a .git ignore file. And inside this file, I'm gonna go ahead and add env, which is this folder here, right? Ultimately, I don't want that to be part of my my repo. Like whenever I get ready to publish these changes or commit these changes, I don't want it to commit that. That's not something that I want. All right, so now that I added, well, let's go ahead and add a few items, right? .pyc is another one. Star.pyc. Yep, so all of these will get grayed out. Okay, that's cool. So I got the main ones. This file folder here is think of it my system configuration folder, right? Then of course I'm gonna have my static, my template. This is my manage. I don't have nothing to change here that I could tell. This could stay out here, I believe. It's not gonna get uploaded regardless, so that's fine. So here's the thing. Normally this name, I actually don't even want this name. This is more something I do, right? So Django gives you, we're able to create the template and get things set. There are certain things that the way Django does it, I'm not a fan of. I like mine to be different. So let's make those changes real quick. So for example, whenever I created my project, it put my project into this subfolder called web. Then it, of course my settings folder is called web. Ideally, I like to have all of my stuff, all of these on the outer section of it. Again, Django doesn't do that. I get it. This is more of my preference. You don't have to do it this way. It's just the way I do it. I like it better this way. So did it get rid of it or what happened? Let's see. So this is the web, my settings. So that's actually valid. Static for. Oh, there you go. So everything's good. All right, cool. So let me go back. There you go. Now it looks a lot better. So again, we have our static template. Web is my setting. Let's see my setting. So now let's go ahead and run it one more time. There it goes. So of course now if I go to the URL, you know, show my Django. Now one of the things, if you just, again, this is more for the people that are new, you know, again, you're learning. If we, let me close out of this. There it goes. If we were to run it as 0.0.0. port 8000, I mean, what that means is now because my phone is connected to the same network on my computer, so this is kind of good when you're trying to test on different devices, right? Let's say on a mobile device on what you're building. So now if I come to my device, I'm gonna put in my IP address. So you need to know the IP address of your PC. Let me see something real quick. I think I actually put in the wrong IP address. You know what? I think I know what it is, and I think I put the wrong number in. Let's see. Yep, I knew it. So let me go ahead and make that change real quick. It's 2 instead of 3. So let me make this change. Boom. So now, again, this is one of those tips as when you're testing, developing your local machine. As long as you got your phone, your tablet, things of that nature connected to the device, even another PC, right, laptop or whatever, connected to the same network, then you could access it on your phone. Like in my case, damn, that looks kind of weird. I just noticed it has those lines. Interesting. That is very strange. I think it has to do with the frame rate of the phone. See how it's kind of moving slowly up, very slowly, but it's moving. Either way, though, the whole point was, as you're doing testing, you could test on your mobile devices. Like, you know, you're developing at home, and then you could, you know, have your phone connected. And that's ideal because if you're making that's an app that's mobile friendly, you want to see it on your mobile app. You want to be able to test it out on your mobile app, right? And that's the way to do it. So let me go back. At least we know that works. That was the main thing we were trying to do there. Cool. Boom. So now that's done. So in my case, there's a few things I'm gonna have. I'm gonna have a what do I want to call it? Trying to think. What do I want to call this? I'm gonna create an app that's gonna be for my my logins, like my user accounts. You want to call it, right? So let's see. Let me check something out real quick. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Just checking something real quick. So for models, all right, and I think this is because I'm using. Oh, why is this? I'm trying to think now. Hmm. Oh, I think I know why. Damn it. Never mind. Hmm. Okay, so I think that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna end up creating. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna create. We're gonna create an app again. So the way Django works, you create a project. Think of the project kind of like your house, right? Then inside a house you have many rooms, restroom, bedroom. Well, that's kind of where your apps come in, based on what it is you're trying to do. So let's say you want to create an app for user authentication. Well, you could say you could isolate that section of code only to its own section, like its own folder, and that's considered an app. Think of it like kind of being containerized. And now you're gonna have your section of user authentication code going to be over here in its own section. And then over here, you create another section where it could be used for something else, another app, um, you know, for something else. Like in my case, it's probably going to be, I'm going to call it um, projects or project, better yet, not S, but project. And then that would be its own section of code, and ultimately what I'm calling a project is going to be whenever I do like giveaways, I create a new project. Inside the project, you assign a prize, to that project, and ultimately there will be a form that connects to this prize where people want to register. Like, hey, I want to sign up for that to that raffle, right? Which is that prize that ultimately is part of a project overall. Because the project is where you would have your details of saying this, again, project starts on June 1st through June 30th, and it ultimately relates down to a specific price, right? That's kind of the whole linkage, the structure. But that's kind of what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to do Django admin create app. I believe that's what it is. And I'm gonna my first one is gonna be called user. Oops. My bad. Shit. I think what is it called? Is it start app? That's what it is, start app. I don't know why I say create. Create sounds better to me, but I don't know why they call it start. Yeah, I don't get it. Doesn't make sense. So if we look at an actual app, every app has a set of files by default. You have your view, your test, your model, and so on. Now, what it doesn't have is your URL file. That's something that I like to create. URLs.py. Now, for me, the URLs. The reason why I do that is if I go to my web, think of web as being like your configuration file. In your configuration file, you have a URLs file. Well, I don't want to keep all my URLs in this one main URL file. I want to separate it out. And that's where for every app that I have, I like to create a URLs file for that app. And then ultimately, this app, the URLs that relate to that app only, would be part of this URLs file. Again, there's things that the way Django does, like part of their templates, that I just don't agree with. So I do mine slightly different. Again, it works the same way. You don't have to change it. That's just the way I do it because I like it better that way. I feel it makes it a little bit more easier, especially when you're dealing with a project that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? More modules, more apps, things of that nature. And that's where it makes sense to kind of make sure have some nice separation, or at least containerize your code when possible. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here on that piece. That's the whole purpose behind that guy. So that's going to be what I'm calling users. Let's go ahead and create our project app as well while we add it. So I'm gonna do Django admin start start app projects. Yeah, the projects is fine with damn it, let's do project. I don't think I should add an S here. Let's do project. Cool. So one thing to keep in mind as well, since we added again 2 apps, right? When we go to our settings file and we come down to apps, we want to add these guys in here. Users, and then I'm going to add project, right? So I added those 2 in there. And then of course, I think that should be it for this piece. Let's see. So one of the things that we're gonna do as well is, under my projects, I need to create a file for URLs as well, right? Again, all of my apps is gonna have a URLs file in it. So projects is an app, users in the app, web is my settings folder, put it that way. So if I go to my main starting point, which is this guy, what I'm going to end up doing here is let's see, what am I missing? I'm going to have to bring in a few items. I have admin. Let's bring in include. I'm going to do pass. In this case, it would probably be it would be project. Oops. And then it would be include project dot urs. Then it will be comma namespace, and I'm gonna call it project. All right. So that's kind of what I'm doing for the project section. Let's see what else. So for my user section, this is where I'm gonna need to. I'm actually going to take some code that I already had before, because it's going to be pretty much identical. I say pretty much. Only thing that may change is because I'm using a different version of Python, so it could be slightly different in certain areas, but we'll find out. But from a model standpoint, I need to bring in everything else. Okay, so let me see. What I'm doing here is, so I'm doing this because I want to create my own custom model. Anytime one of the things that I would strongly recommend in with Django, really any framework that you're dealing with, but in my case, I'm dealing with Django, would it be they give you a specific out of the box model that they create, and you could build and execute kind of when it comes to authentication. I strongly recommend though, customize it. even if it's gonna be identical to the way it's default to Django, still bring it in as a customized class. The reason why I say that is anytime in the future you need to make some changes, it becomes way more easier, like way more easier compared to building it all out using Django's built-in classes already. And then what happens is when you need to customize it, it becomes a lot more challenging. Like it really does, man. So you're gonna save you many headaches if you just started off by building your own custom user manager. But even if it's the same as Django, that's fine. But build your own. I strongly recommend that, man, with a passion. I really, really do. So we're actually getting close. It's about to be 11. We had some activity earlier, man. People, uh, shout out for the guys that joined on earlier. There was a lot of activity earlier. People coming in and out. Again, appreciate y'all, man, for joining. Again, drinking with Luke, because that's what we're doing. We're drinking tequila. We're coding. We're talking tech. We're doing all that kind of stuff, guys. So, any question, anytime, any issue that you may have, I'm doing a live stream on Tuesdays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then of course on Fridays from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So either days, man, those are the days to come and join. Be more than happy to help y'all out with any issues you have. We could talk, code, do all that stuff, man. So this is the time to do it for sure. Let's see. Again, I strongly recommend if you do have any questions, issues, you could always email me as well at contact@imlu.net. That's my email specifically for this. So you're more than welcome to email me there as well. I cannot say that I'll be able to solve all of your problems through email, but I could maybe at least put it on the queue to look into it, or I'll put it on the queue and then ultimately if you join a live stream, for sure we'll try to solve it during the live streams. Again, the live stream is a perfect time, guys, to join on. And if you have any kind of questions or issues, that's like the perfect time to try to solve these problems, without a doubt. There's something about the tequila, man. I can't pinpoint it. Like, it's not bad, but there's something about it that is like, I don't know, man. It's good. That's the thing about it. It's actually good, but it's not the best either, right? And maybe that's the thing I need to keep out of my mind. Like, not all tequila is gonna be best, even if it's a premium tequila. That's just the reality of it, right? At the end of the day. Um, but again, guys, hopefully the video that I've been making have been beneficial, have been helping out, man. That's the point. That's what I'm trying to do here. Um, appreciate all of my viewers that have been my subscribers that have been following me. Man, my channel's been growing slowly but surely. About to hit the 1,000, the 100K mark. Let's see where I'm at. Where am I at now? Um, I'm at 944. So I'm almost there. I'm about 56 subscribers away from hitting 1,000. So again, man, very appreciative. Thanks for everybody who is following. showing support. The channel is growing, and again, I'm gonna continue to make videos. Hopefully, they're beneficial to y'all. They help y'all out. Again, with the live streams is help y'all out as well, guys. So if y'all have questions, y'all need help, you want to discuss, you want to review stuff, this is the perfect time to do it, man. Perfect time. We'll jump on, we'll code some stuff up, we'll test it out live as a stream. You can see it in action. That's the whole purpose behind this, guys. That's the whole purpose. Again, guys, what time? It's already 11 o'clock. Appreciate it like always. Thanks for following. Thanks for watching. Give me a follow on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch as well. I do my gaming on Twitch. I am the real Lou. Again, I am the real Lou on Twitch. And that's where right now the game of my choice is Halo Infinite. And I gotta say, guys, I think I do pretty good. I think I'm kicking ass in that game. But either way, give me a follow. Appreciate it. I'll be on next Tuesday. A series of hanging with Lou. Not really drinking, we're just hanging. But nevertheless, we're talking code. We're solving problems. That's your time to come and join. We'll talk then. Appreciate it.